Hello and welcome to Brewskis and Housekeys. I am Nicole Kostelecki.
And I'm Nick Papantanakis.
And we are here at Remax Alliance in Old Town, Nevada, enjoying some beers and bringing to you all the best good updates of the real estate market.
Yeah, it's time again because the month has rolled over. We get to give you numbers and stats and talk about what we're seeing and also talk about what we just experienced. Now, if you're listening to this, today is the Monday after Super Bowl 58. Is that what it is? 58?
Oh, I feel bad. I didn't even know what Super Bowl it was. But yes, it is. The Monday after Super Bowl Sunday.
It was a little, your thoughts.
Okay.
Let's unpack
all
this,
right,
please.
Let's do it. I don't like the Chiefs. That's the first and foremost. I was rooting for the 49ers. There's other teams I think I would have rather had in there. But
yeah, I'm with you there.
I was rooting for the 49ers.
It was rough to see the ending because OT was bad enough. Sorry, by the way, if you haven't watched the game or if you recorded it, don't listen to this episode first.
Then you're behind the ball.
Yeah,
anyways.
It's your fault. OT was bad enough. But then for it to, I left. We went to my folks' place to watch the game.
Yeah.
And my wife and daughter were absolutely exhausted by the time the game ended before OT started.
Oh, so you didn't even.
So we left. We left
so
to
classic.
drive home, and we got home, and I look on my phone real quick, and it says 22-19. I was like, yes, they're winning.
Yeah.
And then I go downstairs, I turn the TV on real quick, just in time to see Patrick Mahomes throw a touchdown and end the game. And I was like,
stinks. I do think, we were talking about this at the party I was at, but I do think if the 49ers would have scored a touchdown on the first one, I'm curious if they would have changed the rulings for, or I guess the rules for the playoffs.
what do you mean?
Or excuse me, just for overtime. To switch it to not just be a touchdown and you lose. I know in this case, they both got to take a turn. 49ers got the field goal.
Yeah.
Chiefs got the touchdown. But if 49ers would have got the field or the touchdown, then it would have been over.
Yeah. That would have been nice.
I wish they would have.
I know.
You don't think they would? I don't think they should have it like that. I feel like it should be.
It's the playoffs rules changed for overtime.
Oh.
Regular season is different, but playoffs rules, each team gets a chance to possess once.
Really?
No matter what.
No matter what.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Unless it's a defensive touchdown.
Oh. So
let's say, for example,
okay, thank
the
you.
Niners got a chance to drive down there
and score a
they threw
touchdown.
A pick six.
game's over.
Game over.
But if
that
they-
makes
If they
sense.
scored a touchdown, the Chiefs will then get a try, and they would have to score a touchdown.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that makes
Okay.
way more sense, and thank you for clarifying because I did not know that.
I don't either.
Sorry.
They probably, I'm sure they said it too, but I wasn't obviously paying attention that closely
Yeah.
last night. So that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
it would have been nice. I know that Dad told me that this morning on the radio that local Denver radio personalities were unhappy with the fact that John Elway presented the trophy. But if you step back and look at it from a football fan perspective, it's not easy for a team to repeat back-to-back years. So that makes sense why they did it. But a lot of people were, I guess, upset about that. Because
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Did he do back-to-back?
Yeah.
Did he?
Once.
Yeah, I guess. And same with, I think because we were the most recent. Broncos were the most recent. No?
No.
Am I making that up?
That came long after Elway's era.
Then I don't know why he did it.
Yeah, me either. I don't know how Elway snuck in the limelight.
Well, sneak.
Maybe he was already there because, his buddies John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
He couldn't have gotten more
and
airtime than Taylor
McCaffreys
Swift, though. Could
oh my
he?
gosh. There was a whole conspiracy theory thing that I went down a weird rabbit hole on Instagram about how this is the 13th game she was appearing in. And the flight from Japan where she was to Vegas is 13 hours. And how 100 minus 13 is what? 87, Travis Kelce's number. And they showed her last night because Jane kept track of it 13 times exactly.
Yeah, we had some people taking bets on over-under how many times. And I just heard on the radio she got 55 seconds of airtime, which I feel like is actually a lot.
It is,
Because
considering...
a commercial is what, like 30 seconds? And they pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
And I still don't get it. What's so big about her?
I don't know.
I don't know.
She has so many fans.
I don't know. That's it. I don't know. I don't know how you do that.
And it's interesting because it's made her fans love her more. But I think the people that were meh about her, just not exactly.
Well,
feel
what's
the
funny is
same way.
it's like on the scale of like Michael Jackson at his peak. Like he had this like insane international following, and she's now there. And we're talking about her on our podcast right now.
Okay.
Like that's enough.
Yeah, let's stop. Why are we talking about this? Okay, sorry, I brought that up.
I think that was also my fault too.
But commercials, I didn't really watch too many commercials, but did you see any good ones?
I probably did.
Any favorites? I know I wasn't.
Know that I was paying that close of attention.
I wasn't
we were talking
either.
in between too.
Yeah. How about you, Nico? Did you see any? Because
one actually prompted me to leave the game and go outside and excuse myself, and that was for the Deadpool trailer. They couldn't show the actual trailer on TV. They just showed like a trailer for the trailer.
It said now live on YouTube or whatever.
So I grabbed my phone and immediately went outside.
Oh,
I'll be right back.
Watch it. That's funny.
Yeah, that one for sure.
But it was, it was a good game. So I guess there's that. And
that is good.
Was funny. The M&M's one is like a ring of like peanut butter around the thing, and they had all the almost champions crying or whimpering onto them to polish the.
I did see that one, like T.O.
That's
was
actually really funny.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
That was really good. I liked that one.
Nice.
Yeah. Dan Marino.
Yep.
Was like.
Solid
how
goal.
could they sink so low for freaking M&M's commercial?
That's funny. I'm not gonna lie. I actually went into a different room and watched the end of the Waste Management Open instead of like the first half of the Super Bowl.
You mean the Wasted Management?
Yes,
Open?
I do.
That's what I'm going to start calling it. I don't know. I'm probably not the only
that
one.
was exciting.
But,
that went into playoff holes too. So that was
That's more exciting.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl.
2 of them.
Have you been to that?
No, I wish.
I think you need to go.
I would love to.
I think you need to make a pilgrimage next year.
I don't know if I'd want to go to that or like a real, like I shouldn't say real tournament, or a different one that's a little bit more traditional. I don't know though. I would love to go to the Waste.
I had a buddy who went to it for his bachelor party.
Love to go.
2 years ago, he went to it for his bachelor party.
Yeah,
that was his bachelor party. I was like, I can't imagine doing that, but that sounds like a good time.
I would love it.
Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah. A good time. I just feel like I'd be exhausted and really tired for whatever reason.
Well, you have to get up really early.
Yeah, and
too, and they run. They
Pedialyte.
run.
Pedialyte fixes a lot.
That's true. That's very true. Speaking of drinking, because that's what we were referring to, by the way, for those of you that didn't pick up on that. We picked out one. I wasn't sure if we had done this one, but I'm realizing we have not featured this brewery yet.
I mean, I don't think so.
Nope. We dug deep. We found another one in Colorado, down in Highlands Ranch. It is called Living the Dream Brewery, and enjoying some, pretty tasty beer. What do you have?
So I have the Rock Climber IPA. It is 6.8%, and it's delicious. It's like just a IPA type.
Little citrusy.
You got some
nice
citruses. Yep. Some bitterness. It's really good.
And who poured it for you? Because it was an expert pour.
Oh, yeah. Nick poured it. And he did.
You
can still maybe see some remnants of the foam that he had left.
You'd think I'd never poured a beer before.
Quite large.
Really impressive.
We have the option of leaving the photo undoctored.
I think you should.
I think we probably should.
An arrow there.
Yeah.
Nick poured it. Nick poured it.
Do that.
Yeah, it's deserved.
Newbie, Nick.
It's his first time. Their whole theme is centered around adventure in Colorado, which we obviously are an outdoor adventure enthusiast's dream. So Living the Dream is pretty good name. Cycling, skiing, hiking, like all that stuff is like all the features of their beer names and stuff, like the Rock Climber. Mine is called the Powder Run. It's a cream ale with some vanilla, and it's vanilla forward.
It is very vanilla forward.
Cream ale makes me happy. It's a light beer. It's usually low alcohol content. This one's 5%, and they're typically pretty like crisp and almost like drinking a soda.
Yeah.
This one is like a vanilla cream soda, and it's, it's very It's very light. That's for sure. I don't know that I could do more than one.
Yeah.
Just from that vanilla-y-ness. Not sweet,
It's
but
like a little. It's like straight up vanilla extract type kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's coming through on all the senses. You smell it, you taste it. So.
Yeah.
But it is a delicious beer, so
it is good.
I ain't complaining none.
Might be good dessert beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Put a little scoop ice cream in it.
Maybe it would be better.
Oh.
If the weather was warmer.
That's true. We are facing. We're going to talk about that actually. We're facing off with some spring. It's like the spring winter storms are earlier. It feels like. I feel like they normally come in
earlier.
March.
Oh.
Am I making that up?
Well, I just feel like we get most of our snow in like the springtime nowadays.
The bigger dumps.
The bigger
and the heavy wet.
Yes, the bigger dumps come this time of year.
We're going to take a pause so Nico can stop laughing and giggling at his own joke. Just let that ride. Let that resonate for a second. The bigger dumps.
I hate.
Welcome to the Child's Podcast.
We call I can't stop
Brewskis. Well, it's like kicking him in the ice hole. That one.
Yeah, I know. Never gets old.
That will never get old. I will always love that one.
Me too.
So anyway,
speaking of
going through the rest about this brewery, they have a lot of stuff going on. They do every Monday is a trivia night. Every other Thursday is what they call Music Bingo, and they're actually getting ready to celebrate their 9th anniversary in this upcoming July. So kind of cool place to go check out. Didn't know it existed, so pretty excited that we found it.
Yeah.
Put it on the list. Got to do it. This one that I'm drinking has also got a bunch of, Great American Beer Festival medal winner in 2020, Can Award, 2021. So like they're, as Nico called it, it's an overachieving beer.
There you go.
So heck yeah.
No, I like this. The IPA is really good.
Yeah,
Very
and
crisp
they had
yummy.
I think they had the pale ale at the place I went to too today. So I feel like they had some good mixes. If you look through their website, we'll include the link to their page on the notes. But looks like they've got some pretty good stuff. So worth checking out.
Yeah.
And I think it is time now.
Let's do it.
Let's
dive.
play numbers.
Dive
so the stats are in for January. So our first month is closed out for 2024. And we saw some stuff, actually. Some interesting stuff, I would say. Starting with residential home prices. So the median home price for the month of January was $565,000. That is all residential. That's up 2.73% from December. So prices ticking up slightly. Breaking that out to detached and attached homes. Detached single-family home median price, $625,000. That's almost a 2.5% increase from December. And then attached, this was interesting. The median price dropped. It was $395,000 for January. So that's a 5.65% decrease.
Yeah.
So that's kind of buoying those overall numbers down.
Very interesting, I think.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder a few things, trying to like put on the real estate hat for a second. There was a time during that COVID run where buying a home was so easy because money was so cheap to borrow. Those loan
the interest rates,
yeah, they were silly low. So I think a lot of people skipped the first time home buyer kind of way, the typical path where you buy a condo and then you wait a few years and you use that equity to buy a townhome. You wait a few years, use that equity to buy a single family home. I think a lot of people jump straight in to a single family home. And I'm wondering if we're going to start to see the comeback of, maybe some of those prices on multifamily type things are lower so that it can be a little more affordable and create that path for people.
That's an interesting take.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the year kind of unfolds in that regard. So residential median price decreased overall, but it's still interesting to see that detached, single family homes still gaining that value. Yeah. So it's a good thing for all you homeowners out there. And then overall, the median price of a residential home in January of 24 was up by 4.78% compared to January of last year. So
it is up.
It climbed, yeah, and you're gaining that value. So that's a positive for sure.
Yeah. So diving a little deeper, the average days in MLS for January was 49. So that is compared to 46 days in December, which was a 6.52% increase. So 49 days on average for detached homes and 50 days on average for attached homes. There were 4,871 active listings at month's end, which is down 2% from December's month's end of 4,971. We are up overall year over year by 18.23% from January 2023.
That's a spike.
So yeah, more active listings at month's end. The amount of closed homes in January was 2,051, and this is down 25.15% from December and down 6.26% from January of 2023. Now that kind of makes sense because, I mean, those would have been the homes that closed in January were most likely under contract in December, and we usually see that slow down anyways.
That's true because fewer people are out doing their thing, whereas in November, if you get under contract and you're closing
then
in
you
December,
can close by Christmas.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just seemed like a big jump.
Yeah, it is, but I think
sensible.
That's why.
Yeah.
So there were 3,280 new listings in the month of January, which is up a whopping 89.92%.
89%.
Yeah, so almost double.
Good
basically, Lord. From the new listings that came out in December versus that came out in January. And it's also up year over year by 14.73%.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So just general different seller behavior.
Different. Yeah.
Interesting. Can't wait to hear your take on that.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear yours.
Yes, yeah.
So average close to list price is at 98.42% for residential homes. So again, the actual close price is coming in below the list price, just on average. And then check this morning, and interest rates were at 6.96% for a 30-year conventional loan. As always, we grab that from Mortgage News Daily just to keep it consistent.
And that's an interesting note that you had written here. That's the lowest we've seen since.
Is
that old news?
That's old news.
That's old news.
Old news. My bad.
Scratch that. We can edit
old
that
news.
out, right? Oh, we're live. Darn it. I do want to say one thing on that. I know we went to, and I don't think I mentioned this last episode or last market update. We went to, Dad and I attended that Denver Metro Association of Realtors Economic Summit back in January.
Oh, nice.
And the economists that spoke there spoke about the veritable guarantee that the Fed will drop rates at least 3 different times this year, most likely starting in May. So it sounds like they'll do one in May, one in July, and then one in like September. And there'll be little adjustments down, but it sounds like we could be seeing something in the, according to him, and this is one person, and it's always a prediction, it's never for sure, could be seeing things in the low 6s, high 5s by the end of the year or by this time next year.
I was curious.
Yeah. I mean,
no one knows. You don't know for sure. You can look at different, people's predictions and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's good to do your research.
Of course.
But I do think that the other piece of that puzzle that...
the election?
Yeah. We don't have to go deep down the rabbit hole of, but no matter what, that affects
of course
how people spend their money, no matter which direction they're voting. So I think that plays into it too.
Yeah. Yep.
So talking a little bit about buyer and seller behavior, based on my own personal experience, and I want to kind of go back and forth on this a little bit. I have a couple of different folks that I'm helping look right now as far as buyers, and they are not getting beat out on things, but they have had more than one. I've had more than one instance where we've looked at a property, went and did the showing, had no problem setting the showing. So it's not like it's high traffic. We're not running into other people while we're out actually doing the showing.
Yeah.
But then, we leave the home, we talk a little bit more about it. Hey, let's follow up. Let's see what the story is on that one. We kind of start to do that background research because they may be interested. I make the phone call to the agent within an hour of doing the showing, and we just went under contract. That happened 3 times.
That's interesting.
On 3 different properties in 3 weeks. So
where were you looking? Just curious.
One was in Thornton.
Okay.
One was in Golden. And then, 2 were in Thornton. So it was just an unusual kind of turn of events. And we weren't serious enough to be like, oh, we got to go right now and get the offering. But it was like, let's just see what's going on. And from not having a ton of traffic or a ton of showings, or a couple of them were on the market. One of them was on the market for like 46 days.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that the same weekend we saw
Mine had just been like bad timing on
Could have been.
I don't know.
But speaking of timing, you had mentioned something as far as the weather too, right?
Yeah. So I think the weather has played a part in, I guess, listings maybe being a little slower, not seeing quite as much traffic, because we keep getting snow on Friday or Saturday, and then, and then people are like canceling showings, or they're not coming to open houses, those kind of thing. And that has been 2 weekends in a row. And then also with Super Bowl Sunday, it just tends to be less traffic as well. So I think that does have a good bit to go in, that goes into it,
Yeah, and I think playing into that a little bit, I do think that we're going to see it get spring market competitive sooner, just based on not the weather piece. I think that's actually working against that. I think you're right, but just based on those behaviors that I witnessed with a couple of my buyers, that there may be a little bit more of that pent up demand of, we need to get out. Like we want to buy. The rates are as good as they're going to be. I think people are over that hump, and there is that pent up desire to we want to buy. We're ready to buy. We're going to go. And it's obviously always neighborhood specific, but I do think that's the experience that I've had thus far. It's not crazy. It's not, duking it out with 30 other people on a listing and blah, blah, blah. But it is, I think it's starting to tick up a little bit. So I think it's important just to keep that in the back of your mind if you are thinking about getting into that side of the game right now. The other big thing I think is important is we did mention rate a couple times, and I think that rates are what they are. That's always true, by the way. But there are a lot, and I mentioned this I think last episode too, but it's really important to know what your lender offers as far as possible refinance options. Because if the Fed is projected to lower that rate within the next 12 to 18 months, don't miss out on your dream home because the rate is 0.5% higher than you want it to be, or 1% higher than you want it to be. If you are able, now not everybody is, but if you are able to muscle up the extra couple $100 a month to make that monthly payment that's at a higher rate or whatever it is for now, there are so many different programs from lenders that are out there that will tell you, hey, we'll do this, and within the next couple of years, we'll refinance for free or for almost no cost. Yeah. So it's important to have that conversation with your lender if you are in that buy mode.
I think have that conversation. I think also talk to, your lender and possibly like the listing agent on the other side, and see if there's any way they could maybe buy down the rate as well. Because you just don't know exactly, we don't know exactly what rates are going to do. And you do want to make sure you're comfortable with that monthly payment.
100%. And I think you're onto something there, because I think a lot of the listings we went and looked at with those buyers, in the notes, they say seller offering $10,000 concession to buy down the rate. Seller offering $15,000. Like, they're just putting it out there to the world. So they're not shy about the fact that this is a real factor for them too. Right. And it may dictate those longer days on market, but it's also a good tactic to try and drive more traffic. Yeah. So that's what I got. Sure. I did put in there, I'm tired of hearing this, so I don't really want to say it, but I'm going to say it because it's true. Okay. The old saying of, you marry the home and you date the rate. I'm tired of it because it's cliche and silly, but it's also accurate, because you're not in the rate forever. You're not. But the home, you love the home. Yeah. You love the home. So love the home. And don't worry about the rate. I've
never heard of a forever rate. It's always a forever home.
Yeah, exactly. People they tie emotion to the home. Yeah. Don't tie emotion to something that you can change.
That's just being smart with money.
That's right.
All right. So jumping into sellers. So a couple things that I just want to touch on that I just noticed were interesting. So there were a large jump in new listings, like I said, in the month of January. It does seem like a lot of sellers were just ready to jump right in after the new year. Yeah. So they weren't waiting. They're like, okay, let's put it on the market. Let's see what happens. I feel like the buyer demand hasn't quite hit that yet. And buyers are being quite, more picky, which they can be. Before they couldn't be that way. They had to look at the house and be like, do I want this? I need to put an offer in by
gotta
Sunday.
move. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have to do it fast. But now they have some time. They can look around and kind of see which one's, kind of the best for them.
Or even revisit. Like,
Or even
let's
go
go see it
back.
one more time. That
And
wasn't
double
a
check
thing.
on it.
For now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
So, I mean, with that being said, and then also, looking at the amount of average days on market as well, I think that both kind of hints at that. Buyers just kind of taking their time. I do think in the spring there'll be more and more out there. So it is more important right now more than ever to just make sure that your house is in really good shape. If you need to make some changes like redoing the carpets or repainting, get those done before you list it. And, if it's in good shape, just show it off as best you can.
Well, and that's something I don't know if we've talked about before, but it's something you got to weigh with your agent too. Like, will I see a return on my investment?
Right.
And things like that. If your carpet is old and smelly, or if there were smokers living in the property or whatever it is, paint and carpet.
Those are important to do.
Some
very
serious
important to do.
things. Yes.
Now, things like remodeling a kitchen, I wouldn't necessarily say to do that, like you might not see the return on it. So yes, definitely talk to your agent about it and just see which ones are going to be the best fitting for your home. And, if anything, just, clean it out, like just make it look nice and ready to go. I think that's really important. Not necessarily the carpet. I just mean the whole house. Just make it smell nice.
I had a listing that I went and showed to one of those buyers. And we were looking at the photos before. And I looked at one of the photos and I looked at Dad and I said, "Can you smell this photo?"
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
no.
Like,
did you see, this is where the end table was. This is where the bed was.
It was more like
bad.
there's 6 cat tree things over here. It's all carpet. And there were, what else was there? Oh, there was a dog bed and the food bowls were right there. And it was all on top of the carpet in this room. And I was just like, okay. It's, I have pets. I'm not begrudging that at all, but it is one of those things that you do have to really think about when you're listing your home. You
really, really have to think about it. And hopefully you have an agent that tells you straight up if it does smell, because it's important to get that out. You're going to get rid of a huge pool of buyers if you...
Smell will turn a lot of people away quickly.
Yeah.
So it's... Yeah.
It turns me away instantly.
Yep.
I'm going to keep my shoes on for this one.
Yep. And coincidentally, when we went to this place, they also had reptiles in the basement in big, glass things. Yep. And it smelled like, I think they were smoking out in the garage, but there was this big bucket of cigarette butts in the garage and stuff. And the doors are all shut. So I'm like, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors. I'm not your listing agent, but someone should have said something because you're running people out.
All the cliche smells that get trapped in the home is in one.
Yeah, there was no marijuana smell, but that was the only thing missing, I think. Otherwise, it was all the other smells. It was an interesting one.
Oh, man.
But, to each their own.
Anyways.
To each their own.
Is it needless to say there was no offer written on that?
We did take a pass on that one. Yeah. And my buyer's a pretty flexible person. He doesn't get super uptight about a lot of stuff, but he's like, I can't. I was like, let's leave.
Here's the thing, looking at it from that perspective, you can't get past that. You can try to. You can be like, okay, if I redid this, this would look nice and this would look nice. I think it's really hard to get past as a buyer. You're like, I don't really want to redo the floors, or I don't really want to paint that.
Then you go down the rabbit hole. What is that going to cost me?
And then what else is underneath here?
Totally. So
what else am I going to find? So just make it look nice, and just
make
that's all.
Think, if it's that prominent and you're trying to unload the property, what else are they just negligent about?
Yeah,
they didn't take the time to do these things. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
even though it's not, they probably don't really recognize that it smells that bad.
I think that's true. I think a lot of people go nose blind to their own
agent's fault then.
That's why I said to tell them.
That's the truth, and know
it's a very uncomfortable position.
Know that when your agent does that, when Nicole or I tell you, hey, this smells, and we need to do this or this about it, whatever it may be, it's not personal. it's not about you. It's about doing the best to market your property the best, to get the most money for your property. So it is a hard conversation for us to have, but also better to be honest than to let it drift like that and let it. I mean, I don't know what the conversation was like between that listing agent and that seller, but regardless, it's, smell will do it to you.
So that's kind of, I guess that's a little bit more of a market update and what we are feeling in the market and what we're seeing. I think things are just pretty location sensitive right now, and just as far as how the houses are moving. But just in general, I mean, we're seeing a lot more hit the market. We have way more inventory than we have had in like the past year. And so, or versus last year's numbers.
Those numbers speak for themselves. My gosh.
Right.
That's crazy how much it's gone up. So the numbers, as far as how many are active right now. So that's exciting. It's good for buyers to have that much to choose from. Mm-hmm. Well, as always, we love and appreciate each and every one of you. And I actually had a nice long, like hour and a half long conversation with James on the phone on Saturday. Talked about, he really appreciated the shout out in episode 50. So, so we love you, buddy.
There
we
you
love
go.
all the
You got
too.
Another one in 51.
And as always, we appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you subscribing and following us if you haven't done that, or if you know someone who you think could benefit from all the tomfoolery aside. We try to have some legitimately good information for you every single time. So hopefully there's some value in that. And if you know somebody who is either looking to buy or sell that needs that value, send them to the podcast. Let them listen up, and maybe they can reach out to us, and we can be a resource for them too. Thanks to Living the Dream. This was delicious beer. I think, put it on the list for sure. I want to try their other beers too, because they had some good looking ones on there. And as always, send us your comments, send us your feedback, reach out to us on Instagram. Like the episodes. We love all that. It's good for the algorithms, I hear. Rumor has it. And beyond that, we will see you guys for the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.